All right, welcome back. Josh Peter here for From the Stands, and today I'm joined by a man that is familiar with us, and we're familiar with him. He is one of the best flyweights on planet Earth, the great Steve Erceg. Steve, appreciate your time as always, man. It means a lot to us, to myself especially. Mate, I haven't seen an interview or anything from you for a little bit of time now, and this is the first time we've been able to catch up and chat since Perth. And I just want to know personally, how has life been for you on a personal note away from fighting? How has Steve Erceg been?
Yeah, no, I've been really good. Without training, it turns out I'm really boring. So, yeah, I was just sitting around trying to figure out what to do with my day. But yeah, definitely happy to be back, not just competing, but training and doing all the things I love to do.
Yeah, and I obviously, the loss at UFC 305 wasn't what you were hoping for or envisioned. I guess that's the fight game, and I'm sure you are well aware of that as well as anyone. How did you deal with that loss in the days and sort of months that followed? Obviously, it was a big deal for you in a co-main event position and potential titles implications and all that sort of distractions that come into those sort of conversations, especially against a guy like Kai Kara France. How did you how were you able to overcome and sort of deal with that loss in the sort of days and months that followed?
I mean, honestly, it's one of those things like live by the sword, die by the sword. I was trying to knock him out. He was trying to knock me out, and he got me. So, I can't complain too much. It was a really cool experience fighting in Perth. Obviously, it would have been nicer to win, but doesn't always go that way. And yeah, just straight after the fight, I just obviously I didn't want to go and be around everybody and that sort of thing, but um, it's not always about me. So I went out and not drinking or anything like that, but went to hang out with my friends, family, fans, anything like
Yeah.
anybody that wanted to be around could be around, and just give myself to them, make sure they knew I was okay, and still try to have a good time. Like it's not the end of the world. Like obviously you want to win and do all these things, but I get to live a pretty cool life. So sometimes you got to
Absolutely.
remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you? I know we've spoken to some fighters before, and this has been the case. I don't know if it was the case for you, but I do want to ask this. In those times where you have a loss, sometimes you hear less from people. You don't hear as much as from the people that you do when you win or you put on a good performance that you're happy with. Did you notice any of that? Were there less of those "How you doing?" or check-in messages, or was it you got a pretty good support system around you?
Nah, the people I have around me are people who actually care about me. So I've
Yeah,
never been too worried about that sort of stuff. Like I'm not the most social person, so I don't go
yeah,
out and message all these people. So I don't have all these people
yeah.
that aren't genuinely interested and care about me around. So that's not a problem. And honestly, when I lose and that sort of thing, I want everybody to leave me alone anyway.
Yeah,
I don't want that. I don't want people messaging me go, "Oh, I hope you're okay." Blah blah. I
yeah,
want just give me a couple of days. I'll talk to you when I'm ready to talk to you, sort of thing.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
G'day guys, Josh here From the Stands, and I'm just here to interrupt this video quickly to let you guys know about the sponsor of today's video, Trainade. Trainade and their proven line of supplements, including their signature product, Trainade Hydration, are used by combat sports stars all over the world. Many UFC and boxing world champions are all using Trainade to help fuel their workouts. Trainade have been kind enough to give us a big discount code for all of our viewers to use when you guys shop online. If you use the code FTS15 at checkout, you'll receive 15% off all supplements and apparel on the Trainade website. Head to trainade.com or click the link in the description of this video.
Absolutely. One last thing on that fight. What was the main? Obviously, you said that's the game. Sometimes you can get caught. These things happen. What were you able to learn if there was anything from that loss that you can look to take into your next fight, or that you've been able to take back to training and work on?
I mean, I've always known that I don't handle blitzes as well as I should. Like people who blitz with two or three punches, well, who are more technical, I
Hmm.
step out of the way and do my little hurtful stuff, and it works all right. But people who like are really good at stepping through and blitzing me, like often I don't get caught clean, but like that gives me more trouble than it should. And even if I do all this good work, I take the ring away, I start setting up my shots, and then they go to blitz, I give them it all back, and then have to restart. So I mean, it cemented that for me. So I needed to make improvements around people who are going to come at me a little bit less orthodox and blitz me and that sort of thing, and not just give away space and give away free shots like that.
Absolutely.
That's sort of the biggest thing I probably learned from it.
Yeah.
Not
Now,
learned, but cemented, I guess.
yeah, definitely. Now on this fight with Moreno, you were originally scheduled to fight on March 1st. What I think someone at the post-fight press conference tried to ask Dana and what the situation was or what happened there, and he didn't have an answer. And I'm just wondering if you had an answer and how that sort of switch came about and what sort of ended up leading to you now taking on Brandon Moreno.
Honestly, I don't really know what happened. I got a call to say that Asu was out and he couldn't make the fight anymore, but it sounds like that's not true.
Yeah.
My guess is they needed a fight for Mexico. They had Moreno lined up and they didn't know who could fight him, and that's such a big card. And they went, you know what, let's put Steve with Moreno and then we'll figure out the rest, sort of thing. And in the end, it turned out really well. I get to fight in Mexico on a main card, and he gets to fight on the main card now against Carp. So I don't think either of us have in the end been hard done by, but yeah, I don't really know how it all came about.
What did you think when you first heard Brandon Moreno's name get offered? Because that is one of the biggest fights in the whole division. Like out of Pantoja, I mean, your next in line is Brandon Moreno. That's a guy who's a future Hall of Famer. He's former champion, former two-time champion. Had these incredible wars with Figueiredo and Pantoja and the rest. And he seems like a great guy. You guys seem much like kindred spirits. It seemed like you don't you're not in the limelight. You guys are very reserved but you're respectful and you're incredibly skilled fighters. What was that like when you heard his name come across your desk?
Yeah, I was more excited than I was prepared to be. Usually, like, I have a little excitement, but a lot of it's nerves and blah blah. I was pumped as soon as I heard that I was fighting him. I don't know what it is. I'm very excited. It's going to be a great fight, and he's a nice guy, but we're both going to try to kill each other. So yeah,
what's that like for you? You've been in the UFC for what? This will be your second year, and this will be your second headlining. Like the second headlining event for a guy that a lot of people say, oh, he's quiet, and you have this thing about you, man, and you're now headlining another pay-per-view. You ranked 8th, which I don't believe you should be ranked 8th. I think these rankings, much like Dana says, I don't agree with a lot of these rankings. Your performance against Pantoja should have put you at 1, 2, or 3. Either one of those I feel like was fair. I don't feel like 8 is a fair assessment of where you are in that division. Hence why they're giving you a fighter in Brandon Moreno. But what is that like for you, man, knowing that you've come into the UFC, you've made such an impact that you are now headlining your second card?
Yeah, I mean, it's very surreal. I went from obviously early prelims to main fight on the prelims very quickly, and then main event spot, co-main event, back to a main event. It's I don't know. The only thing I can think of is that I have been honest with the UFC. They said when they signed me, they said, if we need you to fight in 4 days' notice, will you do it? Like, we need you to. And I'm like, yep, no worries. And I've been true to that. I've stepped up. I fought when they needed me to fight, and I think they like that. A lot of people in the UFC are supposed to be tough guys. And then you hear about all these negotiations falling through because he doesn't want to fight him, or it's not the right time, or blah blah. It's not me. I'm the guy that we're going to find out right now if I'm the guy or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that mindset, man. Now if you beat, I don't want to get too far ahead of things. I know fighters don't like to do that, and that is rightfully so. You got a task in front of you, but with a win over a guy like Brandon Moreno, that really puts you back in a prime position to fight for a title again, which is, I know it's every fighter's goal and every fighter's dream is to be a champion. And that, considering how close that fight was with Pantoja, I mean, Rogan was talking about it on his fight companion during the UFC 312, and they were talking about it, just about how good of a fighter you are and how close that fight was, and that you really brought the best out of Pantoja. With a win over Moreno, it kind of puts you back right at the doorstep again. Just with a win over Moreno, a guy like that. Is that something you think about in the lead up to this fight, or is that something you really have to just put to the back burner because the task at hand is a task at hand, but is it hard to not look forward and not look ahead to see what a win would do for you?
No, honestly, I'm not looking at that at all. I know that consistent wins will get me there, and at the end of the day, I don't like the division's so stuck at the moment as far
Mm.
as you've got Royval as the obvious number one contender. You have it looks like Kai Kara France is going to fight Pantoja. Karp is right there. Um, yeah, it's sort of muddled at the moment. So I think,
Mm.
and obviously Moreno's right there too. Like he had a big win over Albazi. We don't know what's going to happen with Albazi now and like that sort of thing. So I think it's sort of stuck. And so expecting to get a title shot after this win, I think is not super likely. I think whoever wins out of the Kai Pantoja fight probably fights Royval, and then yeah, it's up in the air. I beat Moreno, maybe I fight Karp, maybe I don't know what's going to happen. But if I get two or three really solid wins and like good performances, I think I could be back there again. But
Mm.
yeah, I'm not too worried. It'll come when it comes, sort of thing.
Yeah, and the division is kind of muddled at the moment. I did want to ask you that, like, who do you think should fight for the title next? Like, who do you think is in line? Because I think Kai's definitely there. It's just hard because it's much like the heavyweight division, where like with one or two good wins, you could be right in there at a title shot. Like there's just because Pantoja sort of gone through this list at the moment, guys like Kai hasn't fought Pantoja, but he's fought Moreno, so that would work. There's all these sort of different options. So like, is Roy Val the guy you think should deserve that title shot, or if I'm asking point blank, is there someone else you think should receive that shot?
I think Kai should have the shot. I think
Mm.
it's like he hasn't. I think he fought Pantoja on the Ultimate Fighter, and so that was the last time he fought Pantoja. Royval fought him more recently. So I think Kai should fight Pantoja. That's a really interesting stylistic matchup because Pantoja's chin is apparently unbreakable. Kai hits like a truck,
Yeah.
and Pantoja is great on the ground, but Kai's so hard to take down. So it's
Mm.
such an interesting fight, I think, stylistically. And then I think, yeah, Royval, honestly, probably just wait. Like, he was going to fight Karp, which is awesome. Sounds like he got injured.
Mm.
So now I think he just waits for the winner of that fight and he'll get the next fight. And then it's the rest of us fighting for who's after that. And
Yep.
yeah.
Yep, absolutely. A couple last ones from me, mate. This video you put out, and I'll add it to this interview. Man, this is hilarious. Can I ask you something? Did you watch The Office before this stuff, like before the comparison stuff got brought up? Were you a fan of The Office? Because I was a massive fan of The Office growing up. I thought it was one of the greatest television shows ever created. I'm glad they're bringing it back in some sort of reform or reshoot, whatever it is. I did want to ask, were you a fan of The Office before this stuff kicked off?
Yeah, 100%. Honestly, I think Steve Carell is amazing. He's so funny. He's a great actor, and yeah, he makes the show for me. So yeah, to get the comparisons is funny, and yeah, I'm glad people enjoyed the video because it could have gone to one of two ways. It could have been people thinking, "My God, what's wrong with this guy?" Which I think I get some of that as well. Or people could have taken it away. It looks like a lot of people have taken it, so I'm glad people enjoyed it.
Did you ever get those comparisons before you entered like, were there guys in the training room or school? Like, did you ever get those comparisons?
I've gotten comparisons with people my whole life. So I've gotten Zoolander, I've gotten Steve Carell, I've gotten Novak Djokovic, I've gotten McLovin. I've gotten so many different comparisons my whole life. I don't know. Maybe I have a generic face or something. I'm not really sure, but I get it all the time.
Nah, that's awesome. Well, last one. Is there any chance then that in Mexico City you walk out to the Dunder Mifflin theme song?
There's almost 0% chance.
Mate, I think that would be the only thing that would set you off even more, is if you walked out to that theme song. That would be hilarious.
Hey, I would do it if Steve Carell walked out in the corner with me.
Okay,
then we'll get it to happen.
All right, let's boost this up, and I want to see that happen. All right. Mate, it's always a pleasure and an honor to talk to you, man. I wish you all the best of luck for this fight in Mexico City. Very happy for you that you're getting a better name and a bigger fight. I'm sure this one that really gets you up and gets you going. So wish you all the best, man. I can't wait to see the performance you can put on and get back to that number one shot. All right, man. Appreciate it very much, and thank you for your time.
No, thank you.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.